Hi, this is Ava. Welcome to Soul GPS. Today our topic is how to stop missing the narcissist, how to process the nostalgia. It's a big topic and it very often comes up in my coaching, and people keep asking about this because I think there's a lot to say here. While at the same time, it's really simple. Where we're getting to, where we need to get to, is the truth, because truth ultimately will be the thing that will set us free. Truth is also on our side, because the whole thing, if you've been with a narcissistic person, is pretty much manufactured. So I'm going to go deep into this today and offer you 6 steps, 6 solutions to help you break the spell. Before I get into today's topic, I want to talk about the retreat that I'm putting together with a group of powerful women. It's a women's retreat. It's called Etna Unleashed. It will take place in Sicily for about a week, starting on the 25th of September of this year. I have made a dedicated video about this retreat. I will be making more videos about this, because what we're going to be offering is something that's never been done before. Besides daily circles with me, daily meetings when we'll be doing coaching and processing our trauma, going from a place of pain all the way to a place of thriving. Of course, it doesn't mean that the transformation is going to take only a week, but I will be giving you so many tools that you'll be able to use them back home. In addition to all that, we're going to be engaging our hands and our bodies. We'll be doing somatic work. We'll be doing trauma release. We're going to be doing all sorts of practices that will allow you to feel free in your body and heal yourself on a very deep level. And we'll also get creative. We'll be using ceramics. We'll be doing ceramics. And that's also something we'll be able to take home. And we'll also have a photo shoot on the beach. And most likely on the beach. We haven't yet decided exactly where we're going to do it, but I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful, picturesque backdrop of nature with Etna in the background by a fantastic photographer who will be there taking your photos after you've been through the transformation. So much to look forward to. And of course, we're going to have amazing food. We'll be in Italy. So amazing food. We'll be tasting wine. We're going to go to a winery together, and we'll also have chefs that will come visit us and teach us how to make delicious Italian food. So just imagine the full array of the things, the activities that we'll be engaged in. So I would love to invite you to get on our mailing list. For now, we're just taking names of people who are interested, and soon we will start sending out the program and additional details. So the information about the retreat is below this video, and there's also the email for the organizer, so you can send her an email and let her know you're interested. And just as soon as we have everything buttoned up, we're going to be sending this information. This list is filling up, and we are only at this time accepting 10 people to the program. We may expand it just a little bit. We'll see how it goes. But for now, it's 10 people, and we are almost there. So if you would like to get your name in, do so as soon as you can. All right, so let's get to our topic. So how to stop missing the narcissist. So I already told you the key word, which is truth. We want to get to the truth, and where we are, I think we're all headed, is to feel that visceral release in the body once we get at a very, very deep level that what we've been through is, for the most part, manufactured intention and projection. The intention is on the side of the manipulator, whether it's a he or a she. Since I'm a woman, I'm probably going to be referring to the narcissistic ex as a he. But don't get me wrong here. This does not mean that narcissists are only male and not female. I have known plenty of female narcissists, and I have worked with plenty of male clients to know that they are real. And it happens regardless of gender, sexual orientation, race, and so on and so forth. They are everywhere. So it's not real. It's manufactured. So what happened? That doesn't mean that what happened and what you felt and your experiences were all fake. Your experiences were real. But a lot of the time, what we don't realize that we're doing in a moment while we're in a relationship with a narcissist, or with anyone for that matter, is that there's a lot of projection that goes on, especially in the early days when the relationship is still forming. And the narcissist seems to almost like instinctively know this and hack this and hijack this process to make it even more intense, hence the love bombing. So while we're forming our projections about the person we're interfacing, projecting our dreams, our fantasies, sometimes even our fears on them, narcissist seizes that and gives you the most perfect image of themselves that can be very difficult to resist. So that's what they tend to intend. If they are manipulators, that's what they want to do, because if they were to show themselves exactly as they are, people would scatter and run away. So they can't do that. They have to have a game. And most narcissists have perfected this to the T. So they mirror you, they ask you questions, they feign tremendous interest, they rush intimacy, it's all very passionate, very fireworky, and then before you know it, you're attached. And it's the attachment and the tendency to project fantasy that you want to work on. That's where you have some control over this. If you don't want this to happen again, this is the area you want to work in, because we can't do much with a narcissist, right? We can understand him or her as to what it is that they did, what kind of tricks did they use, so that the cognitive dissonance can loosen in the mind, and we're no longer sort of caught in between those two opposing polar ideas of, was it real, was it fake, was it good, was it bad, and because it's just so much conflict that happens inside. Was it my fault or was it their fault, right? It gets really dualistic, it gets very conflicty, and it just won't give us any peace. So learning about how they work, reading these books, engaging with a coach or a therapist is really helpful at alleviating this cognitive dissonance, but you will not feel the full release until you get it at the visceral level, until you have this deep aha moment. And I remember for me, it was a series of steps. I right away, once I knew what I was dealing with, I engaged with a coach who helped me a lot. But then I also needed to use the tools that I learned in my work with her, as well as some other tools that I picked up from books and from videos, to guide me through this so that the truth can sink in deeper and deeper. Because here's the thing, it's no accident that we kind of divide a human into these three parts. We can add the spiritual part as well, but for the sake of simplicity, I will leave it out for now. But we're looking at a physical self, the emotional self, and the mental self. And it's the mental self generally that gets it the fastest. It's the frontal brain, the newest brain. We put the two and two together, we read a few books, we talk to a friend, we watch a video, and we just go, oh my God, yes, now I see, now it makes sense. But the physical and the emotions, I look at it as kind of a bridge between the physical and the mental. It connects to an older part of the brain, and they developed during specific stages of our evolution, and there just isn't enough cross-wiring, so they're not seamless. So it's not like we get something mentally and then immediately we feel it in our emotions. It may happen for a short period of time, but then inevitably you feel it coming back. The pain it keeps creeping back in. The thoughts, the doubts keep coming back, and then you wonder again, you fall back into that cognitive dissonance. Was it me? Maybe if I didn't say it, maybe I was too harsh. But then they did this and that. No, it was not me. But was I too much? They asked the wrong questions. You see how you can just go and ruminate, and gosh, I mean, this can go on for days, right? And if not weeks or months. So we have to do something with that, and what we do with it is we repeat the truth. We need to look at what it is that you did, where does your responsibility and therefore power lie, so you can take control of this process. So that's what this video is about, and it's meant to empower you. I want to empower you. So there is this element of fantasy that lives inside of you. And I know I do this too. And I still catch myself. And I try not to. But it takes a lot of practice and a lot of awareness to become conscious of the fact that whenever we meet a new person, depending on what it is that we need, where it is that we are in our life, we're going to project onto them, whether it's a subconscious idea of a perfect person. That's usually the one that the narcissist gets, because they're so good at extracting it from us and at Inception. I just watched the movie again, Inception, such a good movie. So what would it be? Incepting? Introducing the idea, planting the seed in our mind and stimulating it that they are the one, that they're perfect. And we can pick up that it's not quite real, because they're not perfect. Nobody is. And when they're faking it, when the flow is established, a connection through the attachment system is established between you two, it can feel as if you are just made in the stars. But then inevitably at some point some leakage will happen, meaning that the narcissist is not going to pay attention. They're going to reveal their true self. They're going to show you the predator inside and very possibly scare you. Their story may not add up. So one day they told you it was like this, and the other day they're telling you it was actually like that, and you're starting to go like, wait a minute, it's just not making sense. So you will pick up on it. Your intuition will probably scream at you. But still, what do we do a lot of the times is we ignore it. Why? Because we get attached. And attachment theory is such a good thing to study. I highly recommend it. If you find yourself going time and time and again from one narcissistic relationship to another, that's a good place to go to. And also another good place to go to is to revisit your first relationship, the first attachment you've ever formed, and that's the one with your mama. And now again, circling back to me to illustrate it better, is that I had an incredibly close relationship with my mom. I would say it was borderline enmeshment relationship. There was a lot of love. It was beautiful. My mom was trying to make up for the fact that my dad wasn't much around. So she gave me a lot, but that also put a lot of burden on me, because now I wanted to make her happy because she was giving me so much. I need to give her back. Right? So what happened is it went a little bit overboard, and you know, there's some codependency that began to develop, but that's not where I wanted to go. Where I wanted to go was that this mechanism of attaching easily has been with me since my earliest of days. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that we attach to people, but when it happens quickly and subconsciously, it's best to pause and look at it, examine it, understand it, and alter it a little bit to the degree that we can. And by altering, I don't mean rewiring or doing some, major overhaul work, but just being aware of it as it happens and practicing. It's a lot about practice. It's just like yoga. It's just like anything, like a language. You need to practice it, ideally while you are in relationship, not necessarily face to face, but also when you are away, especially when you're away. There's somebody you attach to, and then you take a step back and you're by yourself and you're feeling that urge to reconnect. That means you may have a very easily activated attachment system. So what you want to do then is to chill. I know, easier said than done, but that's really what you need to do, is relax, watch it, observe it, and investigate where it comes from. And again, working with somebody and doing a longer therapy might be helpful here, because it will allow you to get to discover what that mechanism, how it works, and what does it look like, and how it was formed at the very beginning, at the origin. So what helped me tremendously was to redefine my relationship with my mom and to fully individuate from her and to unhook from that role of, now my mom helped me, so now I'm going to help my mom, not in a empathic, natural, easy, organic sense, but in like a hyper obligatory sense. Because what this can do is this can set us up for unhealthy relationships with people because we feel obligated, or we feel bad for them, or we're riddled with guilt and fear. You see where I'm going with this? You have all of these negative emotions that have sort of hacked the system, are sabotaging you from the inside. So you don't want to leave the narcissist because you feel guilty, or you feel afraid of being alone, because all these emotions will start coming up and showing up. You see what I'm talking about? But if you look at that primary relationship and you unravel it and you make a mature decision, okay, I'm going to individuate, I'm going to unhook myself from this role, and I'm going to free my mom from this role. Or it could be also with your father. It could be, but look early at those early dynamics. That's where the gold is. And you redefine those relationships, and you don't need that other person to be there. That's another cool thing. Once you do it within yourself, the other person will have to adjust. It will sort of happen automatically. It's kind of like you're looking through a kaleidoscope, and it has a certain pattern, and all you got to do is move it a little bit, and everything rearranges. Right? And it's not law of attraction. I just want to say that. Nothing to do with that. What we're looking at is basically you're changing the way you're relating to someone. So the other person will sense it. They may not like it in the beginning, because that new version has to be more boundaried, has to be more mature. So they may be taken by surprise, but they won't have any choice, because you're no longer playing that role, you see. So you want to work on that attachment. Now that's going to free you from missing people who are toxic. That's going to allow you to much faster move through detaching from that person. Is you'll start to see it kind of from a distance, almost like a scientist is observing an experiment, happening live, and you will build that muscle of detachment. And that doesn't mean that you are cold and aloof and you no longer need people in your life, anything like that. No, not at all. But because you still have that easily activated attachment system that will activate quickly, but now you're putting little brakes on it, if that makes sense. So this will help with the fantasy. And the fantasy is crucial, because it's the fantasy, you want to see it for what it is. It's a form of like sugarcoating. And the way it manifests in relationships that are toxic is that we tend to put the person who isn't good for us on a pedestal, and we're completely denying, we're completely negating all of the bad stuff that's happening, because we don't want to descend into the pit of guilt and fear and shame. And you see where I'm going. So if you work on that before, if you empty yourself from those emotions by fearlessly stepping into them and understanding where they come from, then you're no longer afraid of unhooking from that fantasy and falling into that pit. You see, because that pit is now empty. There's not much going on there. So you can much more easily maneuver through the relationships in your life. What I'm describing here, it's a pretty complex process that I have myself gone through, and I work with my clients to help them do something similar in their own way. Of course, everybody has something else, but it is incredibly, incredibly empowering. So how you stop missing your ex is seeing the fantasy, seeing the portion that you have added, because there's intention and projection. They have intended part of it. You can't change it, but you got to see the game of the narcissist. But then you also have to see where you participated, where you put in that projection. And then once you untangle that projection, you go like, oh my gosh, yes, I projected this ideal image of a partner that I have been dreaming about since I was 6 years old onto this person. You see where I'm going with this? So where does that take us? I need a sip of water, because this is going to be interesting. It takes us to a very different way of relating with people that may feel very weird. It may feel very flat, very 2D. I know now in this world we're like at 5D or 6D. I've lost count. Multiple dimensions, right? We're looking at connections that happen in this 5D or whatever. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I don't know. Maybe it does. There are certain people with whom we feel greater resonance and harmonics, 100%. That's true. But what I'm going to need you to do, if you have a tendency to go 5D on people, is to scale way back and go 2D with people, okay? 2D, which means no assumptions, no fantasies, no projections, at least for a few months, especially if you are getting into a romantic relationship. Now, if you master this with romantic relationships, you're gonna do great in work relationships, you're gonna do great in family relationships, although family relationships can be very triggering. So maybe they may be kind of similar in terms of difficulty. And you're going to do really good with friends and new people you'll encounter. So romantic and family relationships is where the juice is at. If you master this, you're going to be golden, right? So stop projecting. See this person for who they are. Look at them in 2D, okay? Don't overinterpret. Don't read between the lines. I'm not talking about negating your intuition, though. These are different things. Fantasy and intuition and imagination are two different things. I want you to imagine. I want you to intuit. I don't want you to project fantasies and sugarcoating things. What fantasy has a tendency of doing is making you feel less. It diminishes you and it puts another on the pedestal. Okay, unless you're a narcissist, then it's reverse. So none of that, okay? So look at this person kind of in a flat way and investigate slowly. Ask them questions, listen, observe. Don't make assumptions, ask. Ask them, well, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? And then unless they actually tell you how they feel about you and you see consistency in their behavior, take it with a grain of salt for a while. And listen to your intuition. Does it tell you to lean in or does it tell you to lean back? And take a little bit of time for yourself. So that's what you want to do. Dismantling the fantasy will give you much more control in your life over your relationships. Also, practice clear communication with yourself first and foremost, and then with other people. With yourself, ask yourself, what do I really like about this person? Okay, very important question to ask. What do I really like about him? What do I expect? What is this person as stand-in for? Is it because I'm feeling lonely and I want this person to fill up my life right now? Is it because I need some stimulation? I need some entertainment? You know, what is it? Because once I got really honest with myself, I discovered things about myself. I was like, oh my goodness, right? We all want to have, you know, it's actually weird because on one level we want to have the best image of ourselves and things about ourselves, like we're just these amazing beings, we're so pure and good and everything. And then we can denigrate ourselves so badly and criticize ourselves so badly. And but we also have a shadow. You know, we have a shadow. We're not perfect. And I think that confronting our shadow and confronting the darker sides of ourselves, those tendencies, again, it's not like we put them there. We're born like this. We're animals, okay? We've evolved over millions of years. And there's certain instincts that we have, that we possess, that to this day are going to influence our behavior, right? Such as the desire to climb the social hierarchy, to want to be on top. You know, that's found in animal kingdom. That ties directly in with survival. So there are many things. For me, it was that because I was such an introverted person and I was really into imagination and fantasy. I mean, oh my gosh, my childhood years, I would imagine things. I would go into the woods and just create whole worlds. Now I can use it creatively in fiction. But back then, I would use it by projecting a lot of stuff on my friends. And you know, to a certain degree, it's just what we do. But once we get older, these things can really sabotage us, right? So what I would be very attracted to narcissists. First of all, I grew up around them, and they were just the life of a party, and I was more of an introverted person. So I liked to tag along with narcissists because there was always stuff going on around them. And then I would go and be by myself and recharge and do my thing. So I never developed as a child like these alarm systems that these people were dangerous. So as I grew up, as I grew older, and these people began to show up in a form of potential partners, I completely missed the red flags. You know, I just went. I'm like, wow, this feels so good. This feels so familiar. And now it's not just a friend, it's actually somebody who wants to be with me. How cool is that? Right? Having just no clue at all what it is that I was getting into. And so practicing clear communication with myself allowed me to see these things and go like, okay, well, that's why. Right? That's why I got into these relationships. I also got into these relationships because I didn't have tools to distinguish lack of safety versus safety. Like in my home, in my household, these things were muddled. Safety and unsafety just sort of moved like the clock. 1 hour safe, 1 hour unsafe, it just mixed up. So I didn't have the proper mechanisms to distinguish it, not to mention to actually protect myself. I had no boundaries. I just wasn't equipped. And I think a lot of people aren't. And in today's day and age, there are a lot of, narcissistic characters running around because narcissism is culturally encouraged. Self-promotion is culturally encouraged. Even if somebody may not have the tendency for it, they may go that direction because they think that that's the right thing to do. And here I'm going to quickly bring up this very interesting theory, actually hypothesis maybe. I don't think it's a theory as of yet, but that people who aren't narcissists, who are actually quite empathic, but they emulate narcissists, they want to become like them, may end up somewhere kind of on the border and become borderline. Again, I don't know if it's the case, if it's the truth, but I remember reading about this somewhere, and I found that really interesting. So a lot of confusion going on around, and a lot of characters with all sorts of personalities running around that we need to be aware of and learn to protect ourselves. So clear communication. Where do we feel like we may not be aware of something, where we need to actually work on something, on discovering something, admitting something, so we can work on it. Sometimes it's not pretty, but the truth, as they say, really does set us free. And then clear communication with another person until they actually tell you how they feel about you. Don't make big assumptions just based on the fact that they bought you coffee, and so that must mean that he wants to marry you, right? I have made that mistake, maybe not straight to marriage, but I remember in high school there was this guy. He was a friend of my girlfriend, and we spent once an afternoon together with a group of people in a park, and it was so much fun. And he and I really had a great conversation, and then he invited me to go to a concert with him. And at that point I'm just like, oh my god, this guy was really interested in me. So I'm just like looking at him and projecting like, yeah, he's kind of cool, and this and that, and I'm imagining how we could become boyfriend and girlfriend, and I'm starting to develop feelings for this guy. And then I'm starting to notice that he's actually like not inviting me anymore. He's not really talking to me much anymore. He's actually kind of become cold. I don't know to this day, did he sense that I was interested or what was happening there? But I talked to my cousin, I remember, my male cousin, and he said, well, just talk to the guy, ask him directly, because I was just torturing myself. I didn't know what was going on. I was growing attached. You see, I have a very easy attachment mechanism, easily activated attachment mechanism. So I asked him, and he said to me, I have a girlfriend. I'm like, oh shit, how did I miss that? Right? I missed it because he never talked about her, Anyway, whatever his thing was. But this is just an example of where we can do these sorts of projections and get ourselves in heart trouble and tear ourselves from within. So much better to take things slow, chill, relax, observe ourselves especially. So here I want to give you the 6 tools, 6 steps to stop missing a narcissist. And I'm going to give you actually a 7th one, the bonus. If you stay to the end of this video, you're going to get an interesting insight, something I have recently come across that I think that just blew my mind when I read it, and kind of reshuffled this whole process of me having gone through healing after narcissistic abuse and what it means. It added so much depth of meaning to this. I get chills when I think about it. So that's going to be number 7. Let's start from the beginning. Number one, realize that missing someone is human, and the emotions you feel around it are very natural. So first of all, we need to accept it. When we miss somebody, when we feel nostalgic, it's okay. It's okay. We sometimes can want to rush this process because we want to feel better. But interrupting this process isn't always the best thing. It's best to kind of let it play itself out and go all the way to the end, at which point we find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and we feel free. So first, accept it. Don't fight with yourself, so you can go inside and look at what's happening. So number 2, you want to move towards the truth. Work inside of your mind, or on a paper, or with a coach or a therapist, where your fantasy lines lie. So you want to investigate how you think inside. Get brutally honest with yourself, because the truth, as I already said, will set you free. Number 3, get very specific about what it is that you liked about this person. Make the implicit explicit. It kind of works like breaking a spell, like breaking the trance. It will give you clarity and it will give you relief. Was it real love? Ask yourself, what does the word love mean to you? Go there. Make that explicit. Number 4, realize that the body takes much longer to process the truth and to process the trauma and accept the truth than the mind. Again, remember what I said about the brain. They're not that well connected, not seamlessly. So it takes a much longer time, and it will take quite a bit of repetition until your body absorbs the truth and the tension finally lets go and you viscerally feel the relief. But trust that it will happen, because it will. Number 5, you want to work on yourself also from the physical end. So from the mental end, and we're working through understanding. And then from the physical end, you're going to bolster your body, make it stronger so that it can heal faster. So soothe your body and your nervous system. What's helped me a lot is magnesium. It's a very important mineral in the healing process. Also taking magnesium baths has been really good. So other ideas, walks in nature, anything healing that feels good for you in terms of your body work. Could be massage, could be Feldenkrais. I recently fell in love with the work of Dr. Feldenkrais. Yoga, dance therapy, massage, whatever rocks your boat, go there. That will help to calm and strengthen your nervous system. Number 6, look towards the future. It's really important to have a vision, and ideally it's a vision that's independent of people. Of course, they can be there and support you and cheer you on. I'm not talking about that, but it's not one where you tie yourself with somebody, where you want to, for example, you're an accountant, let's say, and you met an entrepreneur, and now you guys working together, and you can't imagine your life without them, because your work is sort of vested in their vision. Create your own vision if you can, that's independent, so that as people come and go, ideally they will come and stay, but if they come and go, you will not feel that need to do all of this damage repair. You will not feel that rupture on that level. You can nurture your dreams and move towards your own success, your own achievements. That will also create so much positive energy inside you and can nurture you, end up nurturing your relationship and adding a lot of positive energy to it. So do that. Have a purpose. And in today's life, there's so much work. In today's world, there's so much work that needs to be done on so many levels. Our society is so ruptured. So there's a lot you can do, whether it's working with the environment or animals or social orgs, or getting politically involved, or social justice, or building buildings for people, creating gardens. You name it, and there's need for it. So if you can attach your higher purpose to some kind of a work like that, that will also make you feel rewarded at the end of the day. That will be a very healing thing also, to allow you to move forward. And number 7, the bonus I want to share with you is that some tension in life is good. I've been trying so hard to just release all the tension from my body, from my life, but then I finally came to the realization that in life we are the middle between the two polar opposites. It's like having 2 wings to fly. It's in the extreme ends where things get weird. And by coming to the center and feeling the tension between these 2 opposites is where a lot of creativity can happen. Use the challenge as a way to learn more about yourself, as a way to get more creative, to get more authentic, to become you. It has made you wiser, stronger, and more resilient. And I think it's so much easier, frankly, in the end to function in a world that's so complex by having had this much experience. I think we need honor badges after every toxic relationship, you know, any toxic encounter or a boss or anything like that. We should put like, you know, badges of honor for ourselves, in front of ourselves, for ourselves, so that we don't let this thing break us, because we're not victims of it. We are students getting initiated in a real world where real things happen. And there is a lot of delusion going on right now. People are losing a sense of reality out there, and it can be very easy to move towards the extremes. It can be easy to you know, to be in this space where personalities are just not very well formed because people are emotionally immature. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you feel better as a result of watching this video, and you feel like you're armed with some tools and some deeper understanding. Do work on your attachment, do work on the fantasy, and if you are a woman and you would like to come to Sicily this fall, then do send us an email and come join us in Italy. Sending you all my best. Take care. Bye-bye.